Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the X Tier List podcast channel, whatever you want to call it. Today, we are doing pre training camp power rankings. My name is Xander. I'm joined by my co host, Avery, as always. Avery, say what's up.
What's up, guys?
All right, all right. How you doing, Avery?
Not bad. I
Good,
mean, stressful day at work. But that's all. You?
good, good. Pretty good, pretty good. So might be on hiatus for this weekend. Just because I am going to see the brother Avery.
Yeah.
So
So we'll see. We'll try to make it work, and if we can, we'll get a video out or two. But
mhm,
if not, then excuse us for this weekend. But we will be back Monday, as you know,
as soon as we
as soon
can.
as we can, which would be Monday evening. So,
Yep.
all right.
Anyway, I say we hop in to our
Let's
power rankings.
let's fly right into it. One thing. This isn't necessarily ranking everyone from 1 to 32, right? Two things about this. One, this is pre-training camp, right? This is right before it starts. So, this is the best look we're going to get of these teams before we see them actually do anything productive. And this isn't ranking any of these teams from 1 to 32. This is putting them in brackets of what we think they're going to do this year based on what they did last year and how their team looks on paper this year.
Yep.
All right. Without further ado,
Let's get right into it.
let's get
So,
started.
first team we got is the Seattle Seahawks. I would probably put them in a maybe a few wins. Oh,
All
wait a minute.
right.
Hold on. I gotta actually switch something
Boy.
up. Gotta switch something up right there. All right, I made a mistake. I would put them at maybe a few wins. What about you?
Yeah, I mean that's a good spot for them. Let's break it down a little bit. So,
Yeah,
who do we got at QB? We got Drew Lock. Backing him up is Geno Smith.
Geno Smith or Geno Smith
Not
backed up with Drew
great.
Lock.
Not a good quarterback room. You've got great receivers. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. That's going to help you for years to come. Rashad Penny looked like a stud at the end of last season, but they also drafted Kenneth Walker. They went 5-12 last year, or 6
Yep.
and 11, something
Yes.
bad.
Yeah, they didn't have a great season.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a good season this year. And their defense, they lost their most prominent defender in Bobby Wagner, losing him to, I don't know how, but the Rams.
It's all about winning.
So I think they've lost way too much than they can recover. Pete Carroll, he's a great head coach. Will be in the Hall of Fame someday. However, he has a certain mind to coaching that's just not adapting well right now, especially with his quarterback room and especially on offense. So I think he needs to learn something new or step it up. That'll be the only way they can get out of the maybe a few wins and potentially sneak into the middle of the pack. But I think maybe a few wins is the perfect year for them right now.
Yeah, me too. They kind of got some defensive issues, and as Avery said, their quarterback room is kind of very shaky right now. Not a whole lot of info on who the starter is going to be, though. It is presumably Drew Lock at
I
this
would
point.
hope so.
Presumably Drew Lock at this point. Great receiving core with Noah Fant, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf all at the helm. They do have Rashad
Forgot they let
Penny.
Noah Fant in that trade.
They now have Rashad. They have Rashad Penny. They now have Kenneth Walker, who they drafted in the third round of this past draft, and they possibly have Chris Carson coming back. So their offense doesn't look too horrible. Their defense, on the other hand, really hasn't improved much. They added something on the D line, but they did lose Bobby Wagner, which is going to be a huge factor for them. So I really only expect a few wins, maybe the same record as
But
last season. I would
at
say.
least they had a saving grace in the offseason where they
Mhm.
re-signed Quandre Diggs.
Yes.
That's going to be very useful for them in their defense
Yep.
for
Yep.
a long
And
time. But he's the only one I could truly name right off the top of my head on their
yeah,
defense. I don't
and I
really.
would really I would put them in like the 4 to 6 win range. I
Yeah,
couldn't.
probably.
I would say that they're not going to be the greatest team this year.
Yeah, but they'll win some games
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
Somehow, Pete Carroll will pull something from somewhere out of nowhere,
Hmm.
and they'll win some games, but they're not going to do anything major.
No, no, I don't think they'll be in playoff contention or within the hunt anytime this season. I say we can move on. Avery, anything else that you want to say about the Seahawks?
No, let's move on to the Colts, which is a
All
really
right.
interesting team.
The Colts this year got a little bit of an upgrade at quarterback. He's older than the 29-year-old Carson Wentz, but he is uh, better quarterback wise, and that is Matt Ryan. Where do you think that they would rank? I would rank him as a
I
playoff
think
team.
they're a playoff team.
Their
I think
offense,
this is a really strong playoff team.
very, very, very much so. Their
The
defense,
only thing holding them back last year was Carson. Their defense was fantastic. You know, Darius Leonard is a maniac. Kenny Moore is a freak in nature.
Mhm.
They've got some really, really good guys on that defense.
Yep.
Their offense is really good as well. I mean, they've got a fantastic O-line for Jonathan Taylor to run behind, who's top 2 in the league right now, just behind Derrick Henry. But, their receiving core could use a little bit of work, but they've got Mo Alley-Cox at tight end. They've got Michael Pittman starting receiver. They've got a lot to work with, and I think Matt Ryan is a lot better than Carson Wentz, even at the ripe old age of, I think, 38. I think he's going to be phenomenal for them, and I think we're going to see a pretty, how do I put this, familiar form of Matt Ryan that we wished we've seen for more time.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see MVP Matt Ryan, but I think we're going to see a really good version of him in this offense, and
Absolutely.
I think this is definitely a playoff team.
100%. They did lose their wide receiver Russell Gage, who would have been a solid number 2 behind Drake London, who is the presumed number 1 wide receiver right now. What
are you talking about?
Sorry. I'm actually talking about. We started talking about Matt Ryan. I immediately switched to the Falcons.
I mean, yeah, he's been there for 17 years, so it makes sense. 16 years.
They have Michael Pittman, who broke out last season, even under a Carson Wentz ran offense. They have T.Y. Hilton still, and they still have Paris Campbell, who is kind of a ghost right now, but he still always has the prospect to be great. He's still a young wide receiver. He's still 25 or 26. Still has the potential, as Avery mentioned. Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the league, running behind one of the best O-lines, always adds up to go well. And I think that Matt Ryan's going to have himself a pretty stellar season. I would say probably over 4,000 yards, and he'll get his in touchdowns, probably 30 plus. And interception ratio might go a little bit up due to the fact that the Colts do have a slightly difficult schedule this year, but it shouldn't go that much due to the fact that Matt Ryan is a pretty good quarterback. He knows where to put the ball, and he knows exactly how he needs to perform on the field to get his team to win. So, with that said, the Colts are definitely a strong playoff team, and I hope they make the playoffs. All right.
So, moving on to the
Jets.
Really New Jersey Jets. But so this team, I'm really excited for the future of the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
They had one of the most stellar off seasons and drafts that we have seen in a long time.
Yeah, they got some good signings.
In the draft, you go out and get Sauce Gardner first, then Garrett Wilson, then they got someone else. I forgot who else. I think they got someone else in the first round, or maybe early second.
I think they got them in the early second. I'll go look that up for you if you want me to.
Yeah, but I mean, still, those 2 picks in the top 10, you get Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. That really shapes up both sides of the ball. Gives them a corner 1 to work with, and gives them a wide receiver 1 to work with. because their next best choice is Braxton Berrios, who did break out slightly last year.
They got Breece Hall in the second round.
There we go, Breece Hall. Thank you. Who's gonna split carries with Michael Carter? Like, this offense is shaping up to look pretty good. I mean, they've got Elijah Vera-Tucker, Mekhi Becton on the O-line. No, am I wrong on that?
Mekhi Becton? No, Mekhi Becton's on there.
No, he is an O-lineman. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, offensive
So
tackle.
you got those two on the O-line, right? They're great players, and I think Zach Wilson's going to have a better season. I do. I think last season was a fluke for him.
I think this offseason really revamped his focus.
Yeah. I mean, have you heard him in the news lately? Clearly he's doing well.
Yeah, he definitely has some things going on off the field that are really revamping.
Spicy.
They're really getting them going.
I'm torn on this one because I don't want to say anything too early. Like, I think maybe heading into the 2023 season, things will be a little bit different.
I can say,
but I want to rank them ahead of the Seahawks in the maybe a few wins. I think they're going to be better than the Seahawks this year.
Sounds good. And I totally agree. They did have a really, really, really good offseason. And I'm sorry why my camera turned off. I'm not 100% sure why it's doing that. But they had a really, really good offseason. The Jets are working with a hugely revamped offense. They have a much more mature Zach Wilson. And they've also got a pretty nicely revamped defense. They, as Avery said, they went out, got Sauce Gardner. They got they went out and went ahead and got a few good free agent signings for the secondary. And so the Jets are definitely on an incline. Definitely not trending downward right now, as they couldn't after a very stellar offseason. So I think the Jets probably get about 4 to 5 wins. Nothing too major.
I'm thinking more like 6 or 7.
They could definitely get 6 or 7, but maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, no.
Realistically, it's the Jets. What are we saying? But they have the personnel for it.
4 to 6 wins.
They definitely have the personnel to win. That many games.
Yeah.
A lot better than the last 2 seasons.
They have a better. Let's put it this way. I think the Jets would have a better chance of winning 6 games than the Seahawks do.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point in time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, moving on to the Niners.
Who also had a pretty decent offseason. They re-signed some big teams. And I don't think they had a pick in the first round. And if they did, I will go.
I don't think they did. No.
I'm going to go check to see if they did. I don't think so. They did not.
I thought they traded it away for Trey Lance 2 years ago.
Oh, I think that's right. So they are still struggling with that situation. Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, they're not really struggling, but Jimmy Garoppolo still needs to be traded, and or bought out or let go or whatever they want to do with him. And but
I don't trust Trey Lance. I don't. He looks very apprehensive when he's playing. He holds the ball for too long. Whenever he was on the field, it looked like a lot of teams were able to get a good amount of pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's fast, but he needs a lot more awareness in the pocket and out of the pocket when he's scrambling around like a lunatic. But I really like this defense, though. This defense is stellar. I mean, let's go through a little bit. You got Fred Warner, you got Nick Bosa, you got why am I forgetting a really good defense's players? Help me out here. You got Nick Bosa, you got Fred Warner, you got
Aldon Smith. No, I wish they still had Aldon
Smith. NaVorro Bowman.
NaVorro Bowman. Yeah, Patrick Willis. They still got all of them. No. I'm kind of blanking on their team right now, and I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. No. This is gonna bug me. I'm getting the defensive roster up for the Niners.
They have Javon Kinlaw. They picked up Drake Jackson, the outside linebacker out of USC in the draft, and they got a very good secondary still.
Here we go. They got Eric Armstead, D Ford, Javon Kinlaw, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Aziz Al-Shaair, Nick Bosa, Charvarius Ward, Jimmy Ward. They've got a really good Jason Verrett, who's questionable right now. I think he was injured at the end of the season, but no, this team is this defense is really good, and the offense is good too. I mean, you got Elijah Mitchell in the backfield, you got Debo, who's
Debo Samuel,
stellar,
pending
contract
negotiations as well. They got Debo Samuel,
absolutely stellar.
Brandon
Ayuk,
you
got George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league. This is a playoff team if I've ever seen one. The only thing holding them back is Trey Lance. So I want to put them in the middle of the pack. Like, he holds them back hard. Right. I think it's a middle of the pack team because it's very questionable as to what they can do.
He holds all the cards for this season for the Niners right now. So, say we move on to probably one of our first big teams that we'll be talking about today, the Buffalo Bills.
Oh my God, this team is so good.
The Bills' defense last season consistently ranked among the best, of course.
They were the best at the end of the season last year. They were ranked the best throughout the entire season. And they had 0 Pro Bowlers, which makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know how
do you
they
sit
did.
there with Tre'Davious White, Tremaine Edmonds, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Greg Rousseau on the D-line, Ed Oliver, and Matt Milano even.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you sit there and not say, hey, this is the best defense in the league? Maybe we should give them some Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
But no, they decided against it, and they still ended up being the best team, the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah, I mean,
now let's turn to the offense for a moment and look at it's cracked. You got Diggs, you got Gabriel Davis, who turned out to be a stud in the playoffs, who I think is going to turn into a really good 2 for him. Do they still have Emmanuel Sanders, or is he a free agent at this point?
I don't think so.
I don't know, but
they
should get him back if he's in free agency because he was really good for them last year. You've got Devin Singletary in the backfield, who I think is going to lose his job to James Cook, which makes them a better team, because I think James Cook is better than Devin Singletary, even though he hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet.
But you've seen
then
from
you got
him
Dawson Knox at tight end, who's phenomenal. He's a really good tight end, up and coming, potentially an elite tier tight end next year. Watch out for it. And then you've got, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league. Yeah, talent-wise, skill-wise, and what he can do on the field is unbelievable. Josh Allen is just unreal.
Yeah.
If they don't make the Super Bowl, I'll take a double shot of hot sauce. Hold me to it.
On cam, and
I'll do the entire stream after taking a double shot of hot sauce. Done. Simple.
Gotta do something.
But I have my money on them going to the Super Bowl for the AFC. So you can already tell. I wish there was another tier above this for Super Bowl bound. Not contender, that they're Super Bowl bound. This is a Super Bowl bound roster. Just make it there.
Man, I was rooting for the Bills, but now that you said that wager, I gotta now be like, yo, just miss the playoffs real quick.
Here's the thing. I think the first game of this season could be the last game as well. Bills versus Rams. Way to start out the season. Absolutely fantastic game that's going to happen. I think could be the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
No doubt in my mind that it's possible. And I think the Bills have a really good chance at going to the Super Bowl. And if they make it there, Josh Allen's not stopping until he hoists that trophy. He'll avenge the 0-4 consecutive losses in the Super Bowl in the 90s for the Bills.
Unfortunate.
All right,
man.
moving on to unless you had something else to say.
Nope, not at all. I mean, you pretty
Perfect.
much covered all the bases. Offense, elite,
I
defense,
covered everything.
that would make it. Make it.
Oh,
a
and
Super Bowl
let's
contender.
talk about one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL, Tyler Bass.
Tyler Bass.
He really, really helps them. I had him on my fantasy team this year. He really helped me win some games, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He was the deciding factor in some weeks, and he's phenomenal. So, moving on.
Couldn't tell you who the punter was, but that's just a testament to how many times they punt the ball. So,
moving on to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this team is a really
This team I'm going to put still in a playoff contender because they start out really hot for some reason every year.
I have one problem. They don't have D-Hop for 6 weeks.
No, but they do still have Marquise Brown.
Yeah. Who's not D-Hop.
He's not D-Hop, but he is a pretty proven number one.
I mean, did you see the collapse that happened when they lost D-Hop last year?
Yeah, that's because they had Rondell Moore and Christian Kirk starting. Christian Kirk,
I know. I mean, Marquise Brown is good, but he's not D-Hop.
You could not. No, he's not. But he's still a better number one than Christian Kirk.
Yeah, but think about it this way: he's closer to Christian Kirk than to D-Hop.
And they don't got him for 8 games. Then they have D-Hop and Marquise Brown.
Yeah, then they'll do better in the second half of the season. I think they're going to struggle a little bit in the first half. They also lost Chandler Jones on defense, which is very, very sad for them because
where did he go to?
Fantastic. What?
Where did he go to?
He went to the Raiders.
Which one? The Raiders.
That team is phenomenal. We'll get there, but that team is phenomenal.
Where all potential Hall of Famers go to retire. The Raiders.
The Raiders.
Randy Moss,
the
Jerry
Cardinals.
Rice,
I mean, the Cardinals still have J.J. Watt, who's still good. I mean, he got injured last year again, but he's still good.
Still a beast.
Still a beast. You've got Budda Baker in that secondary.
Isaiah
Simmons, who I love watching. Like, that man can fly across the field on defense and just make some of the most ridiculous tackles. Oh, I love it. But yeah, I mean, this team is still really good. Roster-wise, it's still really good. It's got a touchdown machine in James Conner. We all know what Kyler can do.
Oh, excuse me.
You know.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's gonna, attract all the fans.
They also got Zaven Collins.
If our videos don't, that's what does.
This is true.
So watch up to that point and click off. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, and they got Byron Murphy.
Yeah, they've got a really stellar team on paper.
And one of the best kickers to do it ever, Matt Prater. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Speaking of players that they got from other teams who spent years on those other teams, Zach Ertz. Oh, I really, really like Zach Ertz. He's one of my favorite tight ends. Not that he's one of the best, but he's one of my favorite tight ends to watch, especially in the second half of last season when he really got things going in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just think Kyler's going to continue to get better and better and better. He just needs to stop the second half of the season collapse and be injury-free, and they can be a playoff team, absolutely.
Don't forget they still have A.J. Green, too.
Yeah.
So they're not completely boned on
so they have good receivers and then a receiver who doesn't know how to turn around. Shout out to the Packers game last year. Rasul Douglas picking him off in the end zone. I think I'm good to move on if you're good to move on to
I'm all right to move on.
Fascinating team.
To a fascinating team. I could put them right here, honestly. They really revamped the defense and the offense over the past 2 seasons.
I want to put them there, but I have a hot take. Number one, no. That I want them in the playoff spot. Okay. I want them as a playoff team. This team is phenomenal on paper. Right? This what they did in the. I think they had the best best offseason anyone could have possibly had. You go out and
Oh, yeah.
trade the 18th overall pick for AJ Brown
Mhm.
to get a buddy for Devonta Smith, that's going to be a phenomenal duo. And
Who's
then
already a number one.
Still draft Jordan Davis, who is going to be a monster. 6'6", 305?
Mm-hmm.
He's huge.
They got Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round.
They got Nakobe Dean too, who's going to prove to be really good for them as well.
Who, pending a physical, is going to be a beast in the league.
Oh yeah, I don't think he should have gone.
He should not have gone 3rd round.
No, he should not have dropped that far.
Should,
but everyone was aware of the fact that he was pending a physical, so
yeah,
But they wanted to be cautious. But the Eagles say, "Screw it," take chances.
Pick him up.
Exactly. He was there. Of course, they're going to take.
Because the reward is greater than the risk right now.
Bingo. But a lot of teams didn't notice that.
No, not at all.
And they're really unfortunate for not noticing.
Yeah.
But this team is really good. I think they're going to win the NFC East. I think this team can make a run in the playoffs scarily. I think this team
you're
is
saying like divisional round?
Division round at least, I think. At least.
Okay.
Like I think they'll get past the wild card round this time, unless they face like the Rams or the Bucs again.
The Bucs last season was so awful. That game was so bad.
But they face the Vikings, or hell, maybe even the Saints, because Jalen Hurts has the Saints number for some reason. I just think this is a really, really good team that can explode. They need to upgrade at running back because they don't have a running back who can they don't have a running back one who can score.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go an entire 17-game season without scoring a touchdown? Please explain. I want to hear reasoning for this.
Not 100% sure.
It's fascinatingly terrible what Miles Sanders did last year. Or as everyone likes to call him, Booby!
Booby Sanders.
There we go.
Right.
But yeah, I think moving on. Shall I take the floor?
Saints? Yeah, you can take the reins for this one.
And then I definitely want to hear your input, but let's see how accurate I make this. I think this is a playoff team. I think this is a dark horse in the NFC. On paper. If we look what they did last year for a moment, they went 9-8 with 4 different starting quarterbacks, with 2 of them not winning a single game. Trevor Siemian starting went 0-5. Ian Book starting got his butt kicked royally by the Dolphins.
That was unfortunate.
That was embarrassing. They went 9-8 with that. Yeah, they had Sean Payton. They shut out the Bucs with their new head coach, Dennis Allen. Which I'm so excited for. I think we're more of a defensive team, even though the Saints have the offense that they've been waiting for. You have Alvin Kamara, who will be coming back probably from a 6-game suspension, which is fine. I mean, it sucks because it's Kamara, but you've got Kamara, you've got Jameis Winston at the helm, who before getting injured last year, let me remind you, had 1,150 yards, which he can work on, but 14 touchdowns and 3 picks in 6 games. He fixed his pick problem. He just needs to remain healthy. If he can remain healthy off of this ACL tear, he'll be good. Then you've got a wide receiver core that you have not seen on the Saints in, I don't know, ever. Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave. Chris Olave, I think, is going to be an absolute phenom this year. I think he's going to go bonkers because this is what Jameis Winston likes. He likes someone who can fly deep so that he can launch the ball accurately, right? He fixed his accuracy problem a little bit, right? So I think this is a match made in heaven. Then let's move on to the stellar part of this team, the defense. Now, I'll just rattle off some names. You tell me when to stop. You've got David Onyemata, who's pretty good. You've got Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan. You've got Demario Davis and Pete Werner in the middle of the field, which I think Pete Werner from last year, right, who was a rookie last year, I think he's going to be really good this year. You've got Paulson Adebo, who I think is, I think he got injured last year, which was unfortunate. But I think he's definitely going to step up his game a little bit, which is all we need, because then you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you got Marshawn Lattimore, one of the best corners in the game, and then we upgraded at safety. Now this is the fun part. You got Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May, with Daniel Sorensen sitting on the bench, but who cares about him? You got Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May at safety, one of the best safety tandems in this entire league on paper. Let's just see how they perform under Dennis Allen. But I think this is a very scary team, and people are going to underrate them too much, in my opinion. I think this is a 10-11 win team, even though they have a very tough schedule this year.
Okay. So,
Anything
not particularly.
I mean, honestly, where do you think the Saints are? Middle of the pack or a playoff team?
They're definitely a playoff team. As you said, pretty good. Or excuse me, you named off the names on the defense. Pretty big name defense. They got a hopefully ready and healthy offense. Michael Thomas, who hasn't played in 3 years. Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, pretty much all solid number one wide receivers at this point. Chris Olave wasn't drafted in the first round for nothing, so he's going to be their number one at some point. But I do believe that the defense will be one of the best in the league. Maybe or they'll continue that status as one of the best in the league. Maybe even be the best in the league, though I think the Bills or the Rams might have a slight bit to say about that. But still, I agree with your assessment on the Saints. They have some weakness, but like the coaching at this point, like it's a rookie coach or a guy, not a rookie coach, but rookie head coach pretty much at this point. It's kind of unproven. He did have a pretty good first game as when Sean Payton got COVID, but he's really got to prove himself over a full season. So I could see them going into the middle of the pack, but for right now, it's a playoff team. I can't argue with the facts on paper right now. So I say we can move on from them.
Let's move on to a historically dominant franchise that's fallen off the face of the earth.
Sort of fallen off. The Patriots, they didn't have a great season last season. I think finished either second or third in the AFC East. I would say right now they finished second. I would say right now they could definitely be a wild card team. I do see them being a wild card team, but I still got to rank in the middle of the pack. You disagree? You don't see them being
What did Bill Belichick, what was he thinking this offseason? The first guy you draft is Cole Strange. There were so many better options. Draft a receiver. Christian Watson was on the board. Even people like George Pickens, Christian Watson, Calvin Austin, Sky Moore, they were still on the board. You need a receiving core to be good in this league. You can't be a good receiving core with Devontae Parker at the start, at the one.
I mean, the Dolphins were a pretty good receiving core with Devontae Parker at the one and Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, but they at least had a tight end to cover up for their mistakes.
This is true. And the Patriots.
Hunter Henry is good, but he's a red zone threat. He's not an all over the field threat, really.
True, and Jonnu Smith is more of that all over the field threat kind of.
But he was terrible last year, so.
No, he wasn't good. He didn't get that many looks. But hopefully they implement him a little more, and that's how they would be successful with this sort of shoddy wide receiver core that still does consist of Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers, but they only really did so much last season, and their careers aren't really going to take off at this point. So Right
No, but
now,
there is a saving grace on this offense, and it's Mac Jones
yeah,
and
Mac
Damian
Jones
Harris.
and Damian Harris,
Damian
and
Harris
that
was great
offensive
last year.
line,
I think Mac Jones is a really good quarterback.
that offensive
I think
line,
he's going to
David
turn
Andrews.
into a really good quarterback. And that offensive line is pretty good.
Yeah, David Andrews, Joe Tooney, just to name a couple, and Isaiah
Joe
Wynn,
Tooney was on the Patriots.
and Isaiah Wynn as well.
Yeah. I mean,
who's
it's
really
a good O-line for Damian Harris to run behind, but they're going to be a very run-heavy offense this year, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Damian Harris will average about 20, 25 carries a game. I think he's going to be a workhorse back for the Patriots this season. With all that said, I would still say that they were the middle of the pack, but I definitely can see them being at least a wild card team in a very hard AFC, though the Dolphins probably will have something to say about that later. I say we can move on to a very high playoff team, in my opinion. I wouldn't put them at Super Bowl contender just yet. Because
on paper, they're a Super Bowl contender.
That's on paper. But last season,
but what they did last year,
a Super Bowl contender as well, and they were not. They did not make the playoffs. So
if they don't make the playoffs this year, shut down the franchise. You have too good of a roster to not at least make the playoffs.
This is 100% true. I would rank them at the highest tier of playoff team right now. Super Bowl contender, probably
almost a shoo-in at this point.
Now, if during the preseason their second squad somehow just dominates, I might put them in there, but just due to the fact that their backups are now stacked. But for right now, I can't really put them in the Super Bowl contender. But I do see where people could go with the Super Bowl contender, as their roster is extremely deep.
I mean, let's rattle off a couple of names, shall we?
Break it down just a little bit. Where do we want to start, offense or defense?
Austin Ekeler. That's a good start.
Austin Ekeler. Great start.
Oh, my God. Herbert. I love that running back. Yeah. He is my favorite in the league. If you guys haven't watched the running back tier list, go watch it. But I did mention in there, he is my favorite running back in the league.
Despite being a Saints fan, my guys.
Exactly. He did Kamara better than Kamara last year.
So that's why he's your favorite running back. Anyway, so
moving on.
Off some names on the offense. I mean, really just naming off some names on the offense. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Ekeler. They still have Justin Jackson, who is a very good backup running back. And Jalen Guyton has also kind of come into his own. The offensive line, a little shaky. But
Gerald Everett's coming in.
This is true. Gerald Everett's coming in. I think they still have Jared Cook if he hasn't retired yet.
No, I think he's still in free agency. I don't think they have him anymore. That's why they got Everett.
I didn't know if they re-signed him or not. So, taking a look over on the defensive side of the ball, it's just a madhouse. They have.
How do you get Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson in the same offseason? Is my question.
Yeah, they have J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Chris Harris Jr., Derwin James. They have
Joey Bosa.
And that's really all we got to say. That's already a step.
I mean, there's more, but what more do we need to say? They have half of the Chiefs O-line, the good half, in what's his name? Corey Linsley.
Still? They don't.
Do they have Perriman?
Or do the Raiders? I think the Raiders have him. Denzel Perryman. I think the Raiders have him. Yeah, he's on the Raiders.
The Raiders have. Of course, the Raiders have him.
It's number 52 on the Raiders. Fun. Khalil Mack's old number.
Hey. So yeah, this is a stellar team. On paper, it's a Super Bowl contender. Just get to the playoffs first, and then we'll put you in that bracket.
Then we'll talk. So always
Super Bowl losers of last year.
Super Bowl losers. I gotta put them up there back in Super Bowl contention.
They are contenders this year.
Absolutely, they're contenders. Last year's Super Bowl team not in contention. Unless they
lost half their roster. It's impossible.
Yeah, unless they got significantly worse, but they also got significantly better. They fixed that O-line pretty well.
Fixed the O-line. You've still got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. It's one of the most stacked offenses in the league.
Absolutely. And then going on to the defense.
And wait, and they have what's his face at tight end? Did they get Hayden Hurst? I think they got Hayden Hurst at tight end, who's a great addition to that team, and I think he's going to be better than CJ Uzomah.
Hayden Hurst needs to be healthy, though, if we really want to talk about him in a good light this season. But when he is on the field, Hayden Hurst is an absolute contributor. He is going to be a great addition to the Bengals when he is healthy.
Yeah.
Now, switch over to defense. That defense, Eli Burnt Toast Apple, who everybody in the NFL came out the woodwork to go and flame him after the Super Bowl. They have
Jesse Bates,
Von Bell.
Von Bell, which is a great secondary. And then you get into that front seven with Trey Hendrickson,
and Carl,
who I might imagine is the captain this year, along with Jesse Bates.
And I think Carl Davis.
I'm not sure, but we know what Trey Hendrickson can do. After his last season with the Saints, right? That last season with the Saints when he had the second most sacks in the league behind TJ Watt.
Yep.
Second or third most sacks in the league behind TJ. He came out of nowhere and just had sack after sack after sack. My God. And he did the exact same thing in Cincy, you know? He just had a lot of sacks.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get the Bengals D line up there.
He's the cornerstone of the front seven. You got two cornerstones in the back seven with or in the secondary, excuse me, not the back seven. There are 14 players on an NFL team. But they've got, Jesse Bates and Chidobe Awuzie to really lock down.
Oh, and they got Mike Hilton.
They got Mike Hilton too.
They got one of the best slot corners in the game right now. Mike Hilton, who is a former Steeler.
This is a really good team. I don't see why they can't go back to at least the divisional round, maybe the AFC Championship game, probably the Super Bowl, maybe. But I think the Bills are going to have something to say about that, but that's me.
They also added DJ Reader in the offseason as well.
That's a really good pickup.
Good pickup.
So I think enough said for the Bengals. I think this is no. That kicker, Evan McPherson is
Shooter McPherson. Okay, so
he just tied Vinatieri's record last postseason for the most field goals made in a postseason. I believe with 16.
Yeah,
which is
correct.
Out of this world. He's so accurate. He was a rookie last year, and he looks like Justin Tucker.
It's only up from here for him at this point. Like he is.
Continue this way, he's going to be better than Justin Tucker.
Now he might not put on the same performance that he did, but he's still going to be one of the top kickers in the league.
Absolutely.
It's going to be really good. Just look out.
He's going to give them loads of points. He won't miss an extra point. That's my opinion. I don't think he'll miss an extra point.
100%.
All right, moving on to our first might go 0-17 team.
Might go 0-17 team. The Bears. The Bears are a very, very interesting team. They have a semi-okay defense. Their secondary is pretty good. They still have do they still have
Eddie Jackson?
Eddie Jackson? Yeah, they still got Eddie Jackson. And he's really the backbone of that defense at this point. They also have Roquan Smith, who is doing a great job of holding down the middle of the field.
He had an unbelievable 18.5 sacks last year.
Yeah.
The most in Bears history.
Yeah,
which is phenomenal. He's the saving grace of that defense with Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
But that's it. And then the offense, there's Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery is really the only thing. And a rising Cole Kmet, of course. But that O-line is bad. The Justin Fields bad.
Tell me if you recognize any of these names. Tevin Jenkins.
Huh?
Tell me if you recognize any of these names.
No. I was saying, as in who?
Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair.
Who? Oh no, I know
Lucas,
Cody Whitehair. Yeah, I know that
Lucas
name.
Patrick,
Who?
Willie Wright, Larry
No.
Borom.
What?
Yeah, that's their O
None
line.
of those guys sound like rookies, but I've never
That's
heard of
their
their
O
name
line.
ever.
That is their O line. The really
Really?
only saving grace from that offense is Darnell Mooney. They did get Byron Pringle from the Chiefs, though, who is going to be a very good addition. I thought he was still on the Chiefs
I
when
mean,
we
David
mentioned him
Montgomery's
last.
good too.
Yeah,
But
David Montgomery is good, and I mean he's one of the saving graces on that
yeah,
offense. But right now, Darnell Mooney, I say would
is
overshadow
the
him
main
just a
saving
little bit.
grace of that offense.
He's making
He's the one
Justin
that pushes
Fields
them
look
down the
good.
field.
Yeah, he's making
Not Justin Fields.
He's making Justin Fields look all right. They still have Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith, Jalen Johnson, and Eddie
They got
Jackson.
rid of
Duke Shelley.
Khalil Mack though, which is
They
going
do
to
not.
suck for.
They do not have Khalil Mack, which is supremely unfortunate for the Bears. And I hope that they are able to rebuild with whatever pieces they got for Khalil Mack. I say we can move on to back to probably a playoff team this year. Dallas.
I disagree.
You don't think Dallas is going to be a playoff team? Okay. I would say wild card. I would say wild card.
I'd say maybe wild card. They have an easy schedule.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't trust Mike McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, clearly they lost to the Niners in the playoffs, who they were supposed to demolish, and go on to play the Bucs, but didn't. So, yeah. I think, and I mean, last year they had a good year.
Yep.
But I think they swept the NFC East, but then went 6-5 with the rest of the teams and losing to the playoff teams, which is bad. Can't lose to people you're going to face in the playoffs. That's not a great look for you.
Yeah.
So no. I think Dallas is in a tough position, but they do have some saving graces. I mean, Dak's good. You got a great running back tandem in Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. Mm-hmm. Then you lost two of your receivers wrong person. Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson, but you still have Michael Gallup. And you got Dalton Schultz as a tight end, and CeeDee Lamb, who's phenomenal. Then you got
James Washington, by the way. They signed James Washington.
Might be an interesting one for Dak to play around with a little bit.
He's a solid number 3 for the Steelers. He was a solid number 3. So I would say Dak's going to have some fun with him, and he goes up. He's like a good 50-50 ball guy, even though he's a smaller one. He's
that Cowboys O-line is shaky.
A little bit. Tyron Smith, still always a big threat. Zach Martin, always a perennial all-star. But the rest really is not looking
too – that defense is still good.
Oh, yeah. The defense is still almost elite. Malik Hooker, Trayvon Diggs, Jaron Kearse, Anthony Brown, Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, Dante Fowler, Neville Gilmore, Carlos Watkins, and the newly re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence.
They lost Randy Gregory, which is unfortunate.
Yes, they did lose Randy Gregory.
And I don't trust Trayvon. I love 11 picks, but you can't give up 1,000 yards in coverage.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. You can't.
Not at all.
That really degrades you as a corner.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't bode well.
We can keep them in playoff tier for playoff
on
team
paper, I would say that they were a playoff team, and I would say that I'd give them the benefit of the doubt, is they're probably going to be.
So.
They're going to be fighting
with the
NFC.
I think they're going to have. I think they're going to have a lot of difficulty getting past the Eagles this year.
Okay, and I can definitely understand where you're coming from with that. I say we can move on to the Dolphins.
Let's do it.
Dolphins. I don't know. Avery, where would you put the Dolphins?
I mean, on paper, it's a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's a middle of the pack team.
Middle of the pack. Okay.
They went on a tear at the end of last season. They were 0-7, I think, before they won 7 straight.
Yeah.
To go 7-7. Before making it out, I think 9-8.
Yep, 9-8. And a winning record.
They were good in the back half of the season, but that wasn't Tua. No, their defense stepped up. That defense is good. You got Emmanuel Ogba. You got Xavier Howard, one of the most prolific corners in the league. There's so much on this
team. And doesn't give up 1,000 yards in coverage.
Exactly. A good corner.
Well, let's not say Trayvon Diggs isn't a good corner.
A better corner. A much better corner.
Yeah, but a much, he's more of a Pro Bowler than Trayvon Diggs is.
Yeah. But then you've got, let's see, on that offense definitely stepped it up. You got the newly added Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead. You don't have a great running back core with Myles Gaskin, Sonny Michel, Raheem Mostert. Yeah, it's not great, so that's going to hold you back a little bit. Tua's going to hold you back a little bit. But you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, which is fantastic. So
saving core.
I think this could be a scary team this season, but Tua needs to get his act together before they can move on into the playoff team category.
Yeah, 100% agree. Defense also isn't looking too bad either. And Jerome Baker, he's always a very good and solid linebacker for him. But you kind of pretty much hit it on all of the targets there. I would say middle of the pack. I could even put him in a wild card team right now, just looking on paper. But yeah, no, middle of the pack is a solid and fair going for them. I could rank our next team as just a playoff team right now.
I think we're gonna piss a couple people off. But I 100% agree with you.
I think
Mahomes is everything and isn't everything at the same time.
This is true.
Right? You can't just rely on your quarterback. We know the last team to do that didn't go anywhere. The Lions, they relied on Stafford, didn't get him much help. They got a Megatron.
Megatron, but did not get him a defense that could help him out at all.
Exactly. And the Chiefs have the same situation. They got Frank Clark and Chris Jones, which is good, but you lost Tyrann Mathieu to the Saints. You lost a bunch of your linemen. You lost Reek to the Dolphins. You still have Travis Kelce, who I think could have the greatest season a tight end has ever had, period.
And you did get Scantling, and you got Valdez-Scantling from the Packers and Smith-Schuster from the Steelers, but
that doesn't cover the pain of losing Reek.
Of losing one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Yeah.
So
it's not a good look right now. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes, I don't think can carry this team to the Super Bowl. If they had Reek, maybe.
Yeah.
Not right now. You know. Are they going to somehow find a way to make it back to the AFC Championship game for a fifth season in a row? Probably, because it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
But on paper, they're not a Super Bowl contender right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I could definitely put them in the higher tier of playoff teams. They're probably going to make a deep run when they do make the playoffs. Moving on. So Falcons, huge downgrade at quarterback. Pretty good upgrade at wide receiver if we're talking on paper, and still have Kyle Pitts, for the standout rookie phenom tight end from last season. And Cordero Patterson. Their defense did not get much better. I could really put them here.
Yeah, this is a might go.
This is a might go 0-17
team. You can't have Marcus Mariota starting at the helm.
You can, but look at the Titans.
With an offense like this.
Yeah. The Titans.
You need someone to carry your offense, and that can't be your receiver or tight end or running back. It's got to be your quarterback.
And I wouldn't say they're gonna go 0-17, but they have a shot to. I would say that they'll probably at most win about 5 games this season.
Yeah.
I can't really put them in a maybe a few wins column, because maybe a few wins is safe for about the 6, 7, 8 win teams, maybe middle of the pack.
No, that's like 7, 8 is more middle of the pack.
7, 8 is more middle of the pack.
9 is like more the middle of the pack. 5, 4, 5, 6 would be maybe a few wins.
All right.
So, I
I
mean,
can
it'll
see
be
him
a
getting
dogfight between them and the Panthers in the NFC South for the worst team in the NFC South.
probably
But
possibly the worst team in the league. Possibly.
um,
I said possibly. Don't flame
yeah,
me.
I doubt it. I
Don't
heavily
flame me
doubt
here.
it with one of these teams coming up. But
Don't flame me here.
all right, I think that's enough said with the Falcons. I mean, well, I do want to give credit to two players here.
Mhm.
Younghoe Koo, who's a phenomenal kicker,
Mhm.
and one of my favorite corners in the league, even though it sucks because I'm a Saints fan and Falcon rivals, AJ Terrell. He
Yeah, he's
is
really starting to blossom.
freak of nature. Him and Dion Lewis. No, not Dion Lewis. Dion Jones.
Jones.
Thank you. Wrong, very wrong person. But Dion Jones and AJ Terrell are a phenomenal duo. You know, not corner duo, but defense duo.
Yep.
You know, and they cover the middle of the field really, really well. But that's not going to stop somebody from scoring 60 points on you just because you have two players who can actually do something.
Yep.
Right? You need a team, and you don't have one with the Falcons. So I think we can move on. I think we've said enough with them.
Yep.
So
moving on to another very bad
Oh,
team
and
in the league.
17 team, the Giants.
But I don't think they're going to go 0-17. They had a really good offseason.
Oh, I
They had
mean,
They had a
Evan Neal,
really
Kayvon
good
Thibodeau.
offseason. Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau are very good draft picks. They
I
also
did
had
not
pretty-
expect them to get both.
They definitely they had a really good offseason this past year, and I can't see them going 0-16. I'm gonna put him in the maybe a
wait.
few wins.
I forgot a player that the Giants lost that we should have talked about with the Eagles, James Bradbury.
I forgot. Yeah, James Bradbury's on the Eagles. Yeah, that
That
automatically
sucks for the Giants.
that automatically downgrades the secondary, but still, I
the
think the
defense
Giants will
overall.
get a couple of wins at least.
Okay.
I
I think they're
can't see them
terrible.
might going 0-17.
Yeah.
I think the defense might slightly revive them in some games.
Yeah.
Depending
I agree.
depending on who they're playing.
I'll agree. I'll hold off on how many teams we put in the 0-17 category.
Now, next season, I could definitely put them in the 0-17 if they don't perform well.
I agree.
But right now, they'll definitely get a few wins.
Okay. Let's
gotta
move
go
on
with the boys
to
trending
a
upwards.
very interesting team, the Bucks.
Very interesting team. They got Tom Brady back. They
You lost Gronk. You lost Ali
Gronk.
Marpet.
Lost Ali Marpet both to
You
retirement.
lost Jordan Whitehead to the Jets. Oh, that's another stellar signing I forgot to mention. Jordan Whitehead to the Jets. That's going to help their secondary.
That definitely replaced Marcus May pretty well.
Yeah.
They still have Antoine Winfield
that
Sr.
sucks for the Bucks. You know,
Still have Antoine Winfield Sr., still have Carlton Davis, still have Devin White, and still have
Antoine Winfield Sr. I mean, he's like 50, but
Junior. Sorry, whoops, my
yeah.
bad. Antoine
I'm
Winfield
like, he's like
Jr.
50.
My bad. And they still have a pretty formidable defense, and they still have Tom Brady. So you can't.
Yeah, you can't rule out with Tom Brady.
They got Tom Brady, Mike
They're still a
Evans,
Super
Chris
Bowl
Godwin.
contender.
Still definitely a Super Bowl contender in my opinion.
But I think they drop to middle of the pack next year if Brady retires.
Probably, unless they get some stud quarterback in the offseason.
Exactly.
Then I think they're definitely a middle of the pack type of team. Who knows? Anything else you want to say on the Bucks, Avery? They are the big division rivals of the Saints.
Yeah, I mean that defense is very scary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's see, Antoine Winfield, Devin White, what's his name, Levante David. I mean, that's just to name a couple. And my God, that if that was a core three on the defense for a lot of these teams, it would make their defenses better.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really, really stellar team. And I think they can get there, but I think they're going to get stopped in the playoffs by one of two teams.
Okay.
We'll mention them as they come up.
Sounds good. All right. Moving on to not probably, the best team in the league, definitely a Super Bowl contender. Did not lose very many pieces this offseason from their team. They did lose Von Miller, unfortunately, to the Bills, who are
They
not
got Bobby Wagner.
but they
How do you go
did.
from Bobby? How do you go from Von Miller to Bobby Wagner?
You went from Von Miller to Bobby Wagner. They didn't really have a huge loss, but still, I mean,
But
you
then
didn't
that
lose. You lose.
offense.
You did lose Von Miller. The offense got.
How do you go out and get Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson in the same offseason?
Allen Robinson was looking for a much better team than the Bears, so
He found it.
he definitely found it. He went
just
from
had to
almost
look.
worst to first. So
I think he's going to do stellar. Stafford is still
one of the
top
best
10 in this league.
Yep.
Still a gunslinger.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp is, statistically after last season, the best receiver in the league.
Yep.
He's still going to remain phenomenal. I think Cam Akers is going to have a bounce back year.
Mm-hmm.
Sean McVay is one of the brightest, youngest head coaches we have ever seen.
Yeah. And he's got 2 Super Bowl appearances to prove for it.
A lot of people say, and I've heard this a lot very recently, and I don't understand why people say this, but people are saying that the Rams paid for a Super Bowl. What are you, crazy? Von Miller wasn't your Super Bowl success. It was Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, and Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford. That was really the only thing you paid for because you needed a better quarterback.
I mean, if you look at any team that has won a championship, usually they're paid. Their players have been paid because they're some of the best players.
Because they're fantastic. Because of their skill, prospect, and talent, not because the Rams are like, I'm just going to pay the best players in the league to come join our team.
If you go look at the Yankees right now, the overall favorite to win the World Series, they've paid, I think, 4 of their players over $150 million. Now, there's nowhere near the amount of cap space that in baseball or in football than baseball, because I don't know how people are signing $350 million deals. But Aaron Donald is, yes, a little bit of contract dispute right now, but I'm sure they'll get the deal done at some point.
I thought he signed.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, he signed. He became top. He became one of the highest.
I don't think he was in a contract dispute as much as he was contemplating retirement, which I think would be a really dumb decision.
That's right. I don't think he was contemplating retirement. I think what it was is that he wanted to get paid more guaranteed because there wasn't much guaranteed left on his contract, and he was
definitely questioned about retirement, though.
Yeah, he was questioned, and he said if they don't get a deal done, then I'll retire.
Then he'll retire. He's not going to go to another team.
But I was sure they were going to get a deal done. You can't just give up Aaron Donald to retirement. Come on now.
All right, I'll give you the floor for this next one.
Okay. So going on to the Steelers, who last season somehow still went 8-1. They tied
the Lions.
They tied the Lions. Not gonna lie, because Mason Rudolph was starting at the helm and it was raining.
I don't care.
I'm gonna blame
the Lions
on that one. I'm gonna blame it on the weather.
You should have been able to beat them blindfolded in snow.
Mason Rudolph.
But
I am gonna blame it. I'm gonna blame it on
Pat
Freiermuth. He did fumble. So the Steelers are an interesting one. They are nowhere really near a playoff team, but they are middle of the pack, and here's why. Their offense is still very stellar. Offensive line, still needs some work. Obviously, it's still only year 2 of that rookie starting offensive line, really, and there's still a little questions about quarterback, who's going to start, and it's presumably Mitch Trubisky. It could be Kenny Pickett, whichever one. It's probably going to be
the veteran,
low risk, high reward type of thing. We didn't really sign Trubisky for much, and Kenny Pickett's a rookie. So either one will really do at this point for the Steelers. They're both viable starting quarterbacks. They still got Najee in the backfield with with Benny Snell and what's his name? Anthony McFarland Jr., who's very, very fast. If he gets into open space, he just needs to get in open space because he's a tiny little thing. So And then moving on to the defense, who is presumably one of the best defenses, one of the better defenses in the league. They still have TJ Watt. They locked him up for
Reigning DPOY, got a stellar contract.
locked him up for almost probably nearly the rest of his career, probably mostly till the back end of it.
If not, they will. He'll probably be a Steeler for life.
They made Minka the highest paid safety. And they went out and they signed Levi Wallace from the Bills, who is a huge addition to the corner squad, to go to pair with Joe Hayden very well. They still have Cam Sutton, Akello Witherspoon, who was a very, very big breakout candidate last season at corner.
I really like Akello.
And he's really starting to turn into that Mike Hilton type of
exactly
type of role, minus the corner blitzes, because that's something that Hilton was really, really good at. But you also can't discredit
Cameron
Hayward, and that entire defensive line. Alex
and then in the linebacker core, you got Terrell Edmonds, and you still I don't know how. I mean, I know how you paid him, but you picked up Miles Jack.
Yeah. So they have Miles.
Fascinating one. I loved it. As soon as I saw it on Twitter, I was like, "This is good."
Huge signing, great signing for the Steelers. He's going to give him that veteran presence and still give him some of his best years. I think he's only 28 or 29. He's not really that old, so he's gonna give them a couple good years for them. And I'm not going to discredit Devin Bush, who has had a couple of pretty seasons, and he hasn't really lived up to the number 10.
He's still good talent-wise,
but he did have an ACL injury, and he's come back to be a very good, to be a decent,
not spotty player, but when you need him, he'll be there.
Yeah, exactly. He's pretty inconsistent with play. And then Alex Highsmith, who is learning behind TJ Watt and has really blossomed into a great complementary linebacker role opposite of TJ. So right now, middle of the pack for the Steelers. I can really only do that. I say we move on to
You've covered everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I went really in depth in there.
Now this is an interesting team because in my opinion, this is the Raiders, Vegas Raiders, are a dark horse Super Bowl contender on paper.
True. Yes. Their defense.
This is one of the most stacked rosters in the league, behind the Bills, the Rams, the Bengals, and the Chargers.
Yeah.
But it's what they did this offseason was nothing short of phenomenal.
Yeah.
Did they get Yannick Ngakoue or did he go somewhere else?
Nope, they got Yannick.
They got Ngakoue. They got Chandler Jones from the Cardinals.
I think.
They still have Mad Max Crosby, who turned out stellar last year. Oh my God, watching him.
No, Yannick is actually now on the Colts.
Oh, never mind. They don't have Yannick Ngakoue. However, they still have a stellar defense.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, they just have to show it.
Yeah.
Right. But then let's flip to the more promising part, that offense. Derek Carr is a phenomenal quarterback. I don't care what anyone says. He's been their guy. He will continue to be their guy. You've got somehow you picked up Devontae Adams.
You paid him $1 billion.
I get a notification somewhere that just says Devontae Adams was traded to the Raiders. I almost had a heart attack.
Then you signed him for $1 bajillion. And then
they signed him for what? 5 years, 128, 140 something mil, something like that.
Money that I will never touch.
Thank God, no. But my God, you got that. Hunter Renfrow was stellar last year. You got a healthy Darren Waller coming back. Yep. You got Josh Jacobs in the backfield, who's a mini tank.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a speedster.
Mm-hmm. Deceptively fast, very agile.
This team is really good. If it didn't lose Henry Ruggs to a 156 mile an hour vehicular manslaughter charge,
dog.
Wow.
or Anthony Averett from whatever it was.
Or wait, was it Averett? No,
Yeah, it was
Averett was
Anthony.
no, it wasn't. It was oh, what's his name? Oh, it was oh, what was his name? Sorry guys, give me a sec.
Oh no, they do have Anthony Averett from the Ravens last season.
Damon Arnett. Gun
Yeah.
threat.
Damon
That's
Arnett. They lost Damon Arnett, but they did pick up Anthony Averett.
who's going to be good for them
from
because he was nice on the Ravens.
yeah, very very good on the Ravens.
But this team is a dark horse Super Bowl contender if they can get their act together. You know, like the Chargers in a sense.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
They're there. They just need to prove it on the field.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to, in my opinion, the most interesting team on this list.
The Lions. Where are you putting them versus where I'm putting them?
I really like their roster.
I'm putting them in the
I'm putting them in the middle of the pack.
middle of the pack. Okay.
A lot. We're gonna get hate for this, but
yeah, we are.
But I don't care. This
Seahawks fans
roster
are gonna
went
hate
from
us.
this roster went from absolute bottom of the barrel last year
Mhm.
to one of the better rosters in the league.
Yeah.
On offense, you've got oh god, Jamison Williams,
Mhm.
who you picked up in the draft. You got DeAndre Swift. Still got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was great last year. You know.
Yep.
I mean, you got Jared Goff, but he's not terrible. We've
DJ
seen what
Chark.
he took the team to the Super Bowl. He just has a better roster now. They revamped their O-line a little bit, which is nice, and they still have TJ Hawkinson at tight end. You know,
They also got DJ Chark.
and DJ Chark from the Jags, which is a phenomenal pickup for them. That really sets the receiving core. Then let's move to the defense. They got the number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's shoo-in for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I think he's the best defensive player in the draft. I mean, go on. If you guys don't know, go watch his highlights.
Yeah.
You know,
His Michigan film is really good.
It's
And being a Michigan
stellar.
fan, I love watching him.
and you're a Michigan fan, so that must have been fun for you to watch.
Yeah, so fun all season. All season watching him.
I think it's going to translate instantaneously
every O-line.
to this league, and I think he's going to be really, really good.
I think he will have 10 plus sacks this season.
I think he'll have like a Micah Parsons type season, but since he's a D lineman, not as mobile.
Yeah.
All over the field as Parsons was.
Yeah.
You know. But I think he'll have a ton of sacks.
Mhm.
He'll have a good amount of stuff.
Mhm.
You know, a good amount of stats all across the board.
Yeah.
But
Good
getting off
stack.
of Aiden Hutchinson for a moment, they still have, on paper, their defense got a lot better.
Mhm.
You know, and I really like Dan Campbell. I really do. Like he's going to be a really good head coach for them for a long time. I think he's
Yeah.
going to stay there for a long time. If they can get their act together and Jared Goff can do well, you know, with a formidable receiving core at this point,
Mhm.
I think they're, you know, a dark horse middle of the pack team.
Me too.
You know, I think they can somehow. The Vikings are going to screw something up. I think the Lions could be number 2 in the NFC North.
Okay.
Have the roster to do it.
So
They just
from
need to prove it
dumpster
on.
fire to second in the North. I like it. Okay.
All right.
Moving
I think
on.
that's enough sense. So moving on to the Cleveland Browns. Now,
Cleveland
this
Browns.
is a fascinating one because we don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson.
We do not know what's going on with
Is he
Deshaun
gonna be
Watson.
suspended for 6
As of
games,
right now-
8 games, the entire season? If he's suspended the entire season, they're middle of the pack team at
They're
best.
definitely middle of the pack team. Jacoby Brissett is the backup. They revamped the wide receiver core with a new addition. They did lose Odell last season, but they
Amari
added
Cooper.
Amari Cooper. They also lost Jarvis Landry over the offseason, so I do not know who their number 2 is at this point.
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Donovan Peoples-Jones or
who was good last year.
Or Rashard Higgins, who knows?
Or Rashard Higgins, but I think it's going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's the more trusted guy.
They still got the three-headed dragon in the backfield with D'Ernest Johnson, Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt. They also still have a very good O-line, as well as they have a blossoming David Njoku. So the offense looks very good on paper. Even with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, he's still a proven pretty good. He's still a proven good quarterback. He can win you some games. He's not going to take you to the playoffs, no, but he can win you some games. But then that defense in there, they are definitely a dark horse Super Bowl contender for me. If Deshaun Watson's in there, that will be a very, very scary offense to deal with.
But that defense is already scary to deal with.
Already scary to deal with. I mean, Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward already highlight that defense. Jadeveon Clowney as well.
Don't they have Olivier Vernon as well? Who's also pretty solid.
By the way, I just wanted to mention something beforehand. The Steelers did pick up, had George Pickens in the draft, which is a great addition for the wide receiver.
And Calvin Austin.
They also added Calvin Austin. They also added Larry Ogunjobi for the D-line. So I did forget to mention him from the Browns, which is super interesting considering 2 years ago he was suspended, or 3 years ago he was suspended for an incident with Mason Rudolph. So with that being said, back to the Browns. The Browns are definitely, as of right now, Deshaun Watson is playing. So right now they're a very high playoff team, and I think they have a chance to make a deep run in the AFC. Avery, anything you got to say about the Browns?
No, I don't think so. I think that's enough said. You
all right, cool. So we're the worst team in the league right now.
All right, moving on. The Broncos. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's talk about the Texans for 30 seconds.
Dumpster fire. The Houston Texans did not do much over the offseason to improve their team. They did.
Who allowed them?
They added Marlon Mack. They added Marlon Mack as some security for their run game that consists right now of David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, and Rex Burkhead. But they still have Brandon Cooks. They still have Davis Mills, who was pretty impressive last season considering the situation he was thrown into. And they now have what's his name? What's his name? Who's their tight end? Trying to hype up their rookie tight end right now.
Brevin Jordan.
Brevin Jordan. Now they got Brevin Jordan, who's going to be the offensive rookie of the year, hands down, definitely. Look out for it. Just look out.
You insane?
No. What are you crazy?
You know what? MVP.
Brevin Jordan, not the offensive rookie of the year? Come on.
Just give him the MVP and let him retire.
Yeah. Just get him off the Texans. So yeah, no.
They have one saving grace in that defense.
They have the biggest shot out of every NFL team to go 0-17.
Yeah, but they do have one saving grace on that defense.
Who's that?
Derek Stingley, Jr.
Oh yeah,
I think he's going to be really good this year. But I think he's going to have like a similar type of thing with the Texans that Deshaun Watson or DeAndre Hopkins did, where they were really good while the rest of their team just sat on their butts and warmed the bench for them.
No, my camera went out. Okay, that's fun. Sorry, like I keep getting this pop up on my computer, and it like takes my camera out for a momentary lapse in play. Anyway, I do want to also add another staple to that defense, which is Justin Reed, who is a phenomenal safety.
He's good too.
He is a phenomenal safety, and hopefully we'll be ranking him in a later episode. But for right now, the Texans have the best shot of going 0-17. I say we move on to the Broncos, who absolutely vaulted their chances of making the playoffs after adding.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before we say anything,
go ahead.
Justin Reed isn't on the Texans anymore. He's on the Chiefs. That's who they got to replace.
Wow. 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 Okay, so the Texans defensively stink.
Is riding in the hands of a rookie.
Derek Stingley. Okay, this is going to be possibly the worst Texan season I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Where's Zach Cunningham? Is he still on the Texans?
I think so. Or is
Then
he on
he's
the
like
Jets for some reason?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Please tell me he's off the Texans. Get him off. This just turned into a Texans slandering.
No,
so
he's on the Titans now.
Oh.
That's a
even
lot
worse.
better than the Texans.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not even worse. It's actually a lot better. Okay. So
All right, moving on.
about the Justin
That's
Reed.
enough about the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a really interesting team right now, just because of what
Super Bowl
happened
contender.
last year
I'm
and
just
now
telling you
what
right now,
happened.
Super Bowl contender. Right now. No, I'm just
No.
kidding. But
Playoff team at best.
playoff team at best. As long as that offense stays healthy, it's going to be one of the best offenses in the
I
league.
think it's going to take them some time to adjust, though.
Yeah.
You know, with Russell Wilson, I think it'll take him a little bit of time, but not much time because Russell Wilson's phenomenal. We know. And you got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. You did lose Noah Fant.
Yes,
you know.
you did lose Noah Fant, but you gained Russell Wilson out of it. So
Yeah, exactly. So
you
I would
can't-
consider that a win-win.
you
Well,
can't-
no, win-loss, but
win-win.
definitely a win for the
Because
Russell Wilson.
they got Alberto, who isn't the greatest tight end.
Hey,
Madden,
Big Alberto.
Madden always has a place in my heart. Won me a Super Bowl. Won my friend a Super Bowl too. So always has a place in my
The
heart.
cornerstone of your Super Bowl teams was Big Alberto.
Absolutely. Not
So-
Josh Allen.
Wait, but no, it was Big Alberto.
No.
But besides for that, you got one of the best running back tandems in the NFL, and Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, who are fantastic.
Who both have potential to go for 1,000 yards this season. I could see it.
They both had 900 and like 6+ touchdowns.
Yeah, I could definitely
So-
see an 1,000-yard season from
They could both have 1,000 yards, which would
Yeah.
be great.
That's what I was saying. I could definitely see them both having 1,000 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
So you think they're a playoff team? I think they're a very good playoff team. I think they have a chance to make a run in the playoffs if Wilson makes it. But we will all see that when the season plays
But
out.
Well, let's back it up for a moment. That defense, we didn't talk about.
This is
it.
true.
That's one of the best
We haven't
defenses in
talked
the
about
league.
the offense the whole time.
It is one of the best defenses in the league, and I'm not going to back down from that. It was stellar last year.
Very stellar last year. I mean, that secondary is a force.
Kyle
to be
Fuller,
reckoned
Kareem Jackson, maybe.
with.
I think.
Kyle Fuller, Kareem Jackson, Patrick Surtain.
Patrick Surtain. Why was he not the first one I mentioned?
Who was a defensive rookie
Defensive rookie of the year candidate.
Candidate, and
Until Micah Parsons stomped all over his dreams.
until Micah Parsons took that from him because he couldn't win Defensive Player of the Year because that went to TJ. So Patrick Surtain is an absolute menace. Bradley Chubb, always a great pass rusher, and
Always
I am
great.
not. And I can't. Why am I not remembering people on their D line right now?
Yeah.
They used to have stacked D line.
Whenever it comes time for the podcast, I forget everything.
Yeah, exactly. I should start writing stuff down. That's mostly that's really my huge problem. DJ Jones, Draymond Jones, Mike Purcell. I figured out why I didn't recognize their D line because I have no idea who these people are. So they also picked up McTelvin Agim, and I'm pretty sure he's from Appalachian State, and he's going to be a very, very solid backup to DJ Jones. I'm not going to lie. He is going to be, and hopefully he starts over him. Alex Singleton, Randy Gregory, Josie Jewell, and Alex Singleton are just a few names on that linebacking core, and then Justin Simmons as always, and Ronald Darby as well on that defense. So very, very formidable defense, highly rated offense. Anything else you need to say, Avery?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right, sounds good. Moving on to the Jaguars. We might need to speed it up a little bit here, but moving on to the Jaguars. I can see where would you put the Jaguars, Avery?
Maybe a few wins.
Maybe a
For
few
right
wins.
now, I think they need another year to revamp that receiving core a little bit more.
Yep.
To ramp up the defense a little bit. But
Yeah.
let's take a look at some of the notable players. I already have it up.
I mean,
We
Trevor
got,
Lawrence.
of course, Trevor Lawrence at the helm. We got Travis Etienne, James Robinson, which is going to be a good duo this year. I think Etienne's going to be good. You know, it was so unfortunate when we saw that he had his ACL tear.
Yeah.
You know, before the start of the season. Then you got Christian Kirk, Laviska Shenault, Laquan Treadwell, and Marvin Jones, and Zay Jones,
and Zay
and
Jones.
you know, one of the better return men in Jamal Agnew.
Mm-hmm.
You got Evan Ingram who came in, Dan Arnold backing him up. And then two players on the O-line, which are solid. You got Cam Robinson and Brandon Scherf, who you brought in, and a little bit of Juwan Taylor, who wasn't bad for the last 2 years.
Juwan Taylor is a pretty good tackle. He struggled in his career for a little bit, but I think he's really found his spot here in Jacksonville. And Cam Robinson is always going to be a great left tackle. He is a phenomenal left tackle at this point.
So the Jaguars definitely ramped up their defense with Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd, you know, who they got from the draft, Foyesade Oluokun, Trayvon Walker, who they got from the draft,
Yep.
Darius Williams, Rayshawn Jenkins, Andrew Wingard, and Shaquille Griffin.
Yeah, Shaq Griffin was a huge addition from the
huge signing
last year, and he really proved his worth this past year. So, is there any? I could really see this team maybe being even in the middle of the pack this year if the offense gets their act together. But as you said, for right now, they are maybe a few wins. I would even put them as they would probably have the most wins
in the maybe behind the Jets. But
behind the Jets, yeah, I could see it behind the Jets, or maybe even somehow behind the Seahawks, because I mean Drew Lock is still a semi okay quarterback. I don't think. And how do you miss DK?
Right? I mean,
he'll just sprint.
It's got to be terrible to miss DK.
Yeah, he'll just sprint to the. I mean, Geno Smith was okay with DK, and Geno Smith, and we're really not going to sit here and tell us that Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Drew Lock, right?
Yeah, no, I can't say that. I mean, maybe after this year.
But like, come on,
we'll see.
Anyway, I say we move on to a slightly revamped Washington Commanders team. Got a whole new name, got a couple of faces in a new place, and they also...
Is this the first time in NFL history that a team changed their name twice in the last 2 seasons?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure, right? No other team changed their names that much.
No, not within that time span.
But this is a bad team. It's good on paper in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
But you got Carson at the helm, who, just destroyed the Colts last year. I think they might be a middle-of-the-pack team. Maybe even – I think they're more than maybe a few wins.
I could too, but I can't disregard that defense. That defense is still very good. Jonathan Allen.
Healthy? Yes, with Chase Young.
Jonathan Allen, Chase Young. Oh, man.
My God, what's his name? We're thinking of the same person.
I already know we're thinking of the same person.
Oh, boy.
We'll find it.
I hate this.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they have Montez Sweat, Cole Holcomb,
Fuller,
Bobby McCain, and they signed William Jackson II,
which is a good signing
from the Bengals this offseason. David Mayo, and don't forget about Daron Payne, who hasn't had himself the greatest couple of years considering his draft position, but he's still a very viable option on that D line. So this I really can't put him out of the middle of the pack. They now also have an absolute massive upgrade when it comes to quarterback. So instead of playing
with Taylor Heineke,
it is Carson Wentz, who isn't the greatest, but he's still a much better quarterback than Heineke, Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, whoever else was on that. Whoever else.
I will say that Taylor Heineke did take the Commanders to the playoffs 2 years ago and almost beat the Bucs by himself. But
Okay.
but
But
Carson Wentz
let's
is
get
still a better
real
quarterback.
here.
Yeah,
Let's get
he's
real.
still a better quarterback. I'm
Carson
just
Wentz
putting it out
can
there
take
that
a team to the playoffs.
Taylor Heineke is not as bad as people say he is, but Carson's definitely better.
Yes. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Heineke's bad. I'm just saying that Heineke is
Carson's an upgrade.
Is a significant upgrade from Taylor Heineke.
right.
So yeah, middle of the pack, and him throwing to Terry McLaurin is going to be a great combo.
I hope so.
And then as always, J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson in the back, which is a pretty good running back tandem considering how J.D. McKissick is very, very slept on.
Wait, did Carson Wentz have Terrell Owens to throw to back on the Eagles?
No.
I thought he was there in like the final
Alshon
seasons.
Jeffrey.
There when Alshon Jeffrey was a beast in this league. Right during Carson's MVP campaign.
Yep.
Before
Jeffrey and
injured, Nick
who was
Foles
it? Jordan Matthews.
But I don't know, but I think a prime Alshon Jeffrey might be a good comparison, maybe even a little underballing it for McLaurin. So I think he has a better.
McLaurin hasn't even hit his prime yet.
No, and he's still doing what he's doing with 8 quarterbacks throwing to him in the last 3 seasons. So yeah, I think this team is good on paper, right? They just again, like most of these other teams, just need to prove it on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on to the most confusing team.
Minnesota Vikings lost Yannick Ngakoue to
on paper. This team is stellar.
Yes.
But they suck.
Every year, and I'm not 100% sure why.
They're a middle-of-the-pack team. I can't even put them in playoff.
I don't even know why.
I can't do it in good conscience.
Every year, I have hope for the Vikings. They're cool.
Yep.
They got a very, very deep roster.
I mean, let's go through some of their strengths. You got Kirk Cousins at the helm. You got Dalvin Cook. You got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. Which is a fantastic 3, right? Fantastic 3-person wide receiver core. You got Irv Smith Jr. at tight end. CJ Ham is a good fullback. We haven't even talked about fullbacks at all, but going to with this team.
Very rarely. I mean, CJ Ham is definitely one of the better, like one of the best.
He's a very impactful fullback.
Yes.
When he's on the field.
Great fullback.
And then they've got 3 really good O-linemen. You got Christian Darrisaw, Garrett Bradbury, and Ezra Cleveland from the Browns. Which is great. And then, the defense is great. You got Harrison Phillips, Dalvin Tomlinson, Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, Zadarius Smith,
Patrick Peterson, Harrison Smith, Luis Sine, and Cameron Dantzler,
That's a stellar defense on paper.
Cameron Dantzler
had a rough
He proved himself last season.
He had a rough end.
Rough end of the season.
But he started out stellar.
He started out really good.
Yeah.
So,
if he
just
can
show
do
me
that for 17
consistent
games.
Yeah, show me a consistent, really good season. Oh, please, Cameron Dan. I'm rooting for you, my man. Don't forget,
this team is stellar, and if they were consistently good, this could be a Super Bowl roster.
Don't forget, KJ Osborne is still a very viable number 3 receiver.
As I said, yep.
You did mention Osborne. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mentioned Osborne. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And but on paper, this is a dark horse Super Bowl roster. Super Bowl roster, talent-wise. They just need to come together as a team.
Don't forget about Greg Joseph.
Greg Joseph. Yep.
Very good kicker right now. And Jordan Berry, who was a former Steeler, and he's also a pretty decent punter.
I think we can move on to the Ravens.
Say we can move on to the Ravens. Definitely one of the higher playoff teams. I cannot put them in a Super Bowl contender yet.
Even though they're there. Well, no, except for their receiving core.
They have not shown me that they can make it.
And here's my problem.
To the
Lamar wins 80% of his games.
Yeah. in the regular season.
How are you not doing anything in the playoffs? It doesn't make any
choked
sense.
in the playoffs, and I'm not sure why. Like, you got
I
over
don't
the
know.
hump
It's
beating the
bad.
Titans last year, and then what did they do? They got shellacked by the Bills, right? Who was it?
What?
No.
Wait, last year?
No. The Ravens
two-
missed the playoffs last year. I'm sorry. The Ravens missed the playoffs last year. 2 years ago, they showed the
2 years ago, they beat the
they
Titans and
they
then
beat
got stomped on by the Bills.
and then got shellacked by the Bills, right? Yeah, absolutely. Like
Yeah, that was the Bills AFC Championship year, right?
they need to show that they can make it past the second round for me to put them in the Super Bowl contender. But they're still always a playoff team. I mean, Lamar Jackson is facilitating a phenomenal offense right now.
I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards.
Yep.
Then you got, I mean, the receiving core needs a little bit of work. You still got a good old line. You know, Ronnie Stanley being the guy at the helm. You know, the major guy in that old line.
Ronnie Stanley, a potential All-Pro. I think he is All-Pro though.
I think he is. I think he is All-Pro.
Is he All-Pro?
But let's move on for the offense because that's not their highlight.
No, their highlight is this defense.
This defense is one of the scariest on paper in the league. You go out and steal Marcus Williams from the Saints. That's not to say that they just took him, but they got him for cheap in comparison to what I thought his contract could be. They got Marcus Williams, who's going to be a fantastic safety replacement for them. And then you go ahead and get
he was not All-Pro.
My favorite player in the draft, Kyle Hamilton. I love Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, they got Tyler Linderbaum and Kyle Hamilton in the draft somehow.
Tyler Linderbaum is going to be a stellar alignment.
He's an immediate plug and play center. He's going to be a phenomenal center for years to come right now. And as long as he stays healthy, he's going
to be a really good man for Lamar to play under center.
Yeah, he'll definitely make his bag in the league at some point.
So you got Marcus Williams, you got Schnitzels.
Kyle Hamilton.
You got Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, both coming back.
Yep.
I mean, there's still more to say, but is there more that needs to be said? That is one of the best secondaries in the league, if not the best secondary in the league on paper.
They have Tyus Bowser. Odafe Awe was a huge factor
Odafe Awe was
on the defense line. They went out, and in the third round, they got David Ajabo from Michigan.
Yeah.
It was the Eagles and the Ravens who got the steals of the draft with Nakobe Dean and David Ajabo. Oh, my God.
They had an A+ offseason.
They were just due to pending physicals. Like, oh, my God. They phenomenal. And, yes, I realized that Nakobe Dean had heart issues and Ajabo had some respiratory issues, but still, for the reward that you will get if you draft that man, oh man, the Ravens had got themselves
the upside is there.
Yeah,
like I know you guys can't see my hand, but
just up there.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I think we can move on to the Panthers.
Moving on, Panthers.
The Panthers, there may be a few wins, but on paper they got a lot better just because they got Baker.
Yeah. Baker, definitely an upgrade from Sam Darnold.
They also got Ike Mekwonu in the draft, who's going to be a stellar offensive lineman for them.
Yep, of course.
They still got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. You got CMC coming back healthy, which is scary always. So that offense is looking great. You know, I mean, except for Tommy Tremble at tight end, but
they still got Ian Thomas. Don't forget.
Yeah, Ian Thomas is a dark horse starting tight end for them. You know, I think he could be a starting tight end. I don't know if Tommy Tremble is it, but besides for that, let's move on to the defense. They got J.C. Horn coming back. I am so excited to see that man play, even though they're division rivals. I really wish we could have seen J.C. Horn for a
Mhm.
full season.
100%. So do I. I mean, him and Stephon Gilmore would have been absolutely nasty last season.
And then Gilmore went over to the Colts.
Yep, Gilmore went over. Oh God, I mean, last season he was on there, so yeah, no, they would have been a filthy combo last season. But this season, unfortunately, he went to the Colts, which I didn't even realize. That I completely forgot.
Anybody who's there on the Panthers, who was learning from Gilmore, it would have been great if J.C. Horn was able to learn from Gilmore,
absolutely.
but injuries happen.
I'm searching the depth chart for the Panthers right now.
The Panthers?
Yeah. Oh, they still have Christian McCaffrey, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, where do you think he went? Narnia?
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe he just wanted off the Panthers.
With how much he's been injured, he's had so much vacation time. He probably went there. Or the North Pole. One of the
definitely
two.
Found Narnia. Scratch the possibly. Definitely found Narnia. Yeah,
for sure. He found it in Santa's home in the North Pole.
So DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall, and Robbie Anderson headline that receiving core. They have Ikenna Kwanwu, who is I'm pretty sure you already mentioned it, who is a phenomenal left tackle. He's going to be a staple guy. Then Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, Taylor Moton. Not the greatest.
They got Austin Corbett.
Yep, not the greatest starting O-line, but still got some good pieces in there.
That's a saving grace for them.
Yeah. Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Matt Ioannidis on the D-line. Yeturgros Matos, great pickup from last year's draft, and I believe he'll be still one of the premier guys on the Panthers this season. Still have the longest tenured Panthers player in Shaq Thompson. Corey Littleton joined the Panthers. So did Dante Jackson. Standout rookie safety Jeremy Chin, Xavier Woods, and then as you guys said, J.C. Horn. Also, C.J. Henderson is also now on the Panthers as well.
I forgot he went there.
Very, very good former first-round pick and a possible very, very good starting corner.
On paper, this is a good team, and it's scary as a Saints fan. It's scary to look at that roster.
Yeah.
But
and they got Johnny Hekker. I completely forgot.
They also got Johnny Hekker. Yeah. Forgot about that. That's the saving grace of the entire team.
Yes. Yes, they also got Zane Gonzalez as kicker, but
they're not winning games unless he kicks at least 3 kicks the entire season at the 1 yard line, or punts 3 punts at the 1 yard line, or to the 1 yard line. Excuse me. But again, on paper, scary roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Matt Rule, not it.
No.
And they're still making Baker fight for the starting job, which I think is the dumbest move they could make.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should just start him, and I think they'll be a lot happier.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the team that contains the best running back in the league.
Best running back in the league, the Titans. I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna be bold.
Maybe a few wins.
I'm gonna be bold on this one. We might go maybe a few wins.
You lost AJ Brown for nothing.
Lost AJ Brown, and you did get Robert Woods, but
Robert Woods is not AJ Brown, and Tannehill's still Tannehill.
Tannehill's still Tannehill. I don't think he's going to really repeat the season that he had 2 years ago anytime soon. Derrick Henry will still always get his, and that defense will still be pretty good. I mean, Kevin Byard's still going to get his 6 picks a year, and
somehow.
Still. And the whole of that defense is still there. I'm pretty sure they actually signed some new guys.
Let me get the depth chart up here. Give me a moment.
Yeah, just give me one moment. Titans. Okay, so
let's see. We got
obviously Robert Woods, Nick
Westbrook, Autry, Tyler Tart, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Zach Cunningham, who they signed,
Bud Dupree, David Long, and Harold Landry,
Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard,
and Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons is a beast.
Harold Landry was a monster last year.
Yeah. Yeah, he was something different. I
This
did
is
not
a good
expect that.
defense on paper.
Yeah,
It's just the Titans. Fix your defensive coordinator, fix your defensive coaches, and
honestly,
maybe you
fire
do it.
Matt Vrabel. He's not the best coach right now.
No, but I mean, he did win Coach of the Year last year.
It's just okay.
He was good.
It's just true.
Give me one moment. I will be right back.
Okay. So, I guess I'm going to have to move on, or I am going to talk about the Titans for a little bit more. Right now, the Titans, they drafted Malik Willis in the offseason to hopefully back up Ryan Tannehill if he does not perform up to code. But for right now, that's really all I've got on the Titans. The Titans are
I
really
think we can move on
a great
to
team.
the Packers.
I'm going to move on to the Packers. Where are you going to put the Packers? Because with Aaron Rodgers,
I mean, they're a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers. You can't have back-to-back MVP without being a playoff team.
Yeah, no, not at all. And Christian Walker is definitely not Christian Walker.
Christian Watson.
It's Christian Watson. God dang! Shout out Christian Walker, first baseman for the Diamondbacks. I got you on my fantasy team if you're watching this stream, which I know you're not. But shout out Christian Walker.
But anyway,
No, but Christian Watson, he's going to be pretty decent. I don't
they still
think
have Alan Lazard.
I'm not going to say
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones in the backfield, still a dynamic duo.
Mhm.
I mean, always Aaron
Robert
Rodgers.
Tonyan.
We don't need to talk about him. Robert Tonyan's good too, as long as he's not injured.
very very healthy O line now.
The defense is questionable a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
They lost Darius Smith.
Yeah, that's a bad loss. They do get Jair Alexander back full time.
This is true. That is a
great.
huge add. Oh, they also have Sammy Watkins as a wide receiver, so it's not the worst. They still also have Randall Cobb, so at least he's got some sort of familiarity.
You got Quay Walker in the draft. You got Devondre Campbell, Rashawn Gary, Eric Stokes, Adrian
Gary really came into his own last season.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a good defense, but it's a little bit shaky.
They also got Rasul Douglas, who's not a bad sign. Good plug-in rotation corner.
All right. I think that about wraps it up.
Yep. One more thing I wanted to say about the Packers.
Yeah.
Preston Smith. Preston Smith is a very slept-on linebacker in the league. I do want to mention him. I think he's going to have a great season this year, complimenting Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, and Devondre Campbell.
Oh, and Rasul Douglas.
Yeah, I mentioned
Rasul Douglas somehow had 5 picks last year.
He's very good.
Very good.
I mean,
in comparison to how he was, he's very good.
I mean, yeah, he was starting for the Eagles as cornerback too, so kind of had to lock down at least a little bit. So just a bit. And I also can't wait for Jair Alexander to come back. I mean, everybody can't wait, especially Packers fans. So, as Avery said, I'm pretty sure that will wrap it up for right now. This was a little bit of a of a longer episode. But we did have to go and break it down, get more in depth. So I hope that you guys stuck around. We thank you to the one viewer who has stayed pretty much most of the time. And we also thank you all for your support on our views on the channel. We love you guys, and we love doing this for you. We hope that you leave a comment, that you make a suggestion, or tell us that your thoughts, your feelings, or tell us what we could have done better with the with the list, or tell us where you would have had certain teams, or just tell us anything. We're
open to anything.
Yep.
We don't care what it is. Just
absolutely.
Type it down in the comments.
We do a lot of NFL right now because that's kind of what's on our minds, but we are open to almost all sports. We will, and if we need to, we will do the research beforehand and seriously buckle down and do what sport we need to do. If you suggest it. So without further ado, I say we head off. My name is Xander. As always, my wonderful co-host Avery over here. Avery, any last thing that you want to say to the fans?
No, I think just like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you
Later. Thank you all for watching very much. And again, we very much appreciate the support. We love you, and
bye-bye.